Never had anyone seen such a vicious child. He actually treated a rag doll as his father, placing it in a bowl and strangling it to death right there. Not long before, his mother had suddenly passed away from a mysterious illness. The family was plunged into grief, yet life had to go on. The father shouldered the responsibilities his wife had left behind, caring for the children meticulously every day. Over time, the siblings gradually adjusted to life without their mother, but the father remained unable to move past the sorrow of losing his beloved. Seeing this, the older sister joined her younger brother in trying to cheer their father up. One evening, the father came to tell the children a bedtime story as usual. As they snuggled in his arms, he glanced at the family photo on the table and felt a wave of melancholy. How wonderful it would be if his wife were still there. One day, while the siblings were playing on the lawn, the sister suddenly suffered a violent coughing fit and collapsed. The father rushed her to the hospital, only to discover that her symptoms were identical to his late wife's. The doctor recoiled in alarm. This mysterious illness was contagious. The daughter was immediately placed in an isolation ward. Although the father knew the disease was incurable, he desperately pleaded with the doctor to save her, but there was nothing to be done. Clutching his toy, the son looked at his father, seemingly sensing that something was terribly wrong. The succession of blows left the father completely hopeless. Noticing his father's despair, the son threw himself into his arms to offer comfort. The next day, the father visited the hospital again. His daughter's coughing had worsened, and her heart rate was racing dangerously. He frantically pounded on the isolation glass and shouted for the doctors, but no one came. Seeing his daughter hovering between life and death, calling out to him in a faint voice, he cast aside all caution. After settling his young son safely outside, he resolutely pushed open the door to the isolation ward and tenderly cradled his daughter. He had no regrets, even knowing he would likely be infected. The son waited quietly outside alone. Ultimately, the daughter lost her battle with the illness and passed away. As expected, the father contracted the disease as well, and, consumed by grief, he followed his daughter in death. Now, only the little boy remains, all alone in the world. He resented his father for heartlessly abandoning him. In a moment of impulse, he treated the ragdoll as his father, placed it in a bowl, and viciously strangled it to death. If you were the cat father, what would you do? You wouldn't believe it, a cat and a dog were actually playing a game of Fight the Landlord, a popular card game, with a bite of cake as the prize for the winner. Seeing the kitten's moves were too slow, the impatient puppy snatched the cards away, only to play even worse, making the kitten burst into laughter. Suddenly, they spotted a mouse brazenly stealing the cake right in front of them. Furious, the pair chased after the mouse in a frenzy. The puppy even grabbed a broom, but the scene turned chaotic. Just as the puppy was about to strike, the broom was suddenly snatched away. Turning around, they saw it was a witch. After mocking them, she rode off on the broom. Meanwhile, the mouse had scurried into its hole. The kitten immediately peered inside, only to discover a 4-story office building constructed within the burrow, and the very mouse that had stolen the cake was the big boss. Little did the boss know, the kitten had witnessed everything clearly through a telescope. After a moment of thought, the kitten devised a plan. Disguising themselves as mouse lecturers, the cat and dog infiltrated the office building along with the crowd of mice. Upon arrival, they received a warm welcome, complete with a special ceremony, and their presentation was a huge hit, earning thunderous applause from the audience. With a few clever tricks, the kitten instantly turned the Mouse Corporation's plummeting stock from a loss into a profit. This feat won the approval of the ordinary mouse employees and impressed the boss, who invited them to his office for a meeting. However, the boss had an eccentric personality and kicked them out immediately after the meeting. Refusing to give up so easily, the cat and dog secretly placed a mousetrap on the desk before leaving. They had barely crawled out of the hole when they heard a commotion inside. Just as they were secretly rejoicing, they turned around in horror to see a group of mice disguised as them, having already successfully deceived their owner. What on earth was wrong with this little dog? It broke into a cold sweat at the sight of a coin slowly falling through the air. Upon seeing it land, smiley face up, it immediately took the man down with a stun gun. Just a day earlier, its owner had hugged it affectionately before leaving on a trip, entrusting its care to 2 girls. But no sooner had the owner left while the girls were still saying their goodbyes than the dog vanished without a trace. It turned out the dog missed its owner and tried to chase after them, only to be snatched up by a dog-napping van that flung a large net over it. Meanwhile, the 2 girls were completely unaware of this. They were frantically tearing the house apart, searching everywhere in a panic. Just then, the owner called, leaving the girls at a loss for what to do. The red-haired girl had a quick idea. She grabbed a dog mask and staged a photo that made it look like she was posing with a dog. The owner was delighted by the photo, never suspecting it was a fake. Elsewhere, the dog regained consciousness, terrified by its unfamiliar surroundings. Rows of cages filled the room, holding countless other dogs. Suddenly, the sound of a door opening broke the silence, bringing with it an oppressive atmosphere. A security guard entered. The sound of his footsteps made all the dogs in the cages tremble with fear. He unlocked this particular dog's cage and reached out with a menacing hand. When the dog looked up, the guard was already sitting right across from it. The other dogs watched in terror, knowing exactly what was coming. A coin toss game where guessing correctly meant freedom, but guessing wrong meant a fate too horrible to imagine. With no other choice, the dog had to steel itself and play. The guard flipped the coin, and the dog's heart leapt into its throat. Unfortunately, it lost the first round. The game was a best-of-3 match, and the guard arrogantly took off his jacket. Under the dog's anxious gaze, he decided to up the difficulty by flipping the coin with his tongue. A wicked grin spread across the guard's face as the coin began its slow descent. The group of puppies watched with bated breath as the coin landed. Fate did not favor them, and the smiley face side remained facing up. Just as the security guard was gloating and mocking them, one puppy snatched the electric baton from his hand and knocked him to the ground with a swift counter-strike. It then grabbed the keys from the guard's belt and freed all the trapped puppies. While the two girls were still in a state of anxious panic, the puppy returned home on its own. Overjoyed at the reunion, the girls were absolutely delighted. The man, unaware he had contracted cholera while defecating by the river, was unknowingly spreading the germs downstream. Soon afterward, an unsuspecting woman came to the river, filled a bucket with water, and took it home. Meanwhile, villagers who hadn't washed their hands after using the toilet were unknowingly transmitting the germs to those around them. Furthermore, the excrement on the riverbank attracted swarms of flies. After feeding, the flies, covered in germs, buzzed around and eventually landed on a family's dining table, quickly contaminating the food. The man of the house ate the contaminated food and then drank the water his wife offered him. That water had come from the contaminated river. That evening, the man suddenly felt severely unwell, vomiting, having diarrhea, and developing a high fever. His wife hurriedly sent their son to fetch a doctor from the village. The doctor arrived and quickly diagnosed cholera. He instructed the boy to help while he began emergency treatment. First, he filtered the river water through gauze, then boiled it for 1 minute to thoroughly kill the germs. Next, he added half a spoonful of salt and 6 spoonfuls of sugar to the boiled water, creating a simple emergency rehydration solution. The son quickly fed it to his father, and soon his father's symptoms improved significantly. The doctor advised that although the condition was temporarily stable, he still needed to be taken to the hospital for further treatment as soon as possible. Before leaving, he specifically instructed the boy to use the same method to make the rehydration solution and distribute it to other villagers to prevent the spread of the disease. The boy remembered the doctor's instructions and began making the rehydration solution, delivering it door to door. Seeing villagers drinking river water directly, he quickly reminded them that the water might contain germs and must be boiled before drinking. He also told villagers who had just used the toilet to wash their hands with soap before meals and after using the toilet to effectively prevent germs from entering their bodies. The villagers gradually realized the seriousness of cholera, and the village chief organized everyone to build a public toilet 30 meters away from the riverbank, completely solving the problem of indiscriminate urination and defecation. With increased awareness of prevention, cholera was finally brought under control and eventually eradicated. The boy's father also gradually recovered thanks to timely medical treatment. From then on, no one ever urinated or defecated by the river again.